Hey guys, it's Heather here. So we are going to be going over some of the highlights of my Alaskan cruise that I took in 2019. My trip started off in Orlando, Florida. That's where we took off because I am from Orlando, Florida. And then we landed in Seattle, and that was our layover. And then we took a flight from there to Anchorage, Alaska. Anchorage was just a gorgeous city. So we got there later in the afternoon, so we didn't have enough time to do anything really exciting. So basically what we did was we looked in some gift shops and we went to like the tiniest Hard Rock Cafe ever. It was so tiny. What my favorite part of Anchorage was is that we decided, even though I was so exhausted, we decided to stay up until like midnight that night, so that way we can go and see that the sun never really overly set. It was still really bright. Like, I would have guessed this was like 8 o'clock, and that was just so neat. Day 2, we were going to our cruise. We took about a 2-hour, 3-hour bus ride from Anchorage to Seward. That's where we were taking part from, Seward, Alaska. Oh my gosh, this drive was just incredible. They had just such beautiful views. We arrived for our home, that is, would be for a week, at the Norwegian Jewel. We went to our stateroom. We went up to the buffet and we got food. I love buffet food. We went and we sailed away on our cruise. So Seward was just so beautiful to sail out of. It was so beautiful. The water and the mountains, it was just so magical. So this is why I think I recommend a southbound cruise rather than a northbound, because this port was just so beautiful to sail out of. Like, it was just so beautiful. Day 3, day at sea. I threw on some warmer clothes because it was definitely one of the colder days. I made the decision to go and take a hot tub dip. Oh my gosh, this was literally like the coldest swim. It was so cold. A couple hours later, we saw Hubbard Glacier, which was just such an incredible sight. This is an advantage of taking either a northbound or southbound cruise, is that you will get to see Hubbard Glacier. If you do like a round trip starting from either Vancouver or Seattle and you end in either Vancouver or Seattle, you don't get to see this because you don't go up as high. This is the main advantage of taking a northbound or a southbound. Day 4, we stopped at Icy Strait Point. So Icy Strait Point has the tallest zip line in Alaska. This zip line is so tall, like you can't even see where it begins. So you kind of got to see when the clouds shifted a bit. It is just so high. Biggest advice is, if you really want to do the zip line, book it as soon as you can because it sells out really quickly. Like, when we arrived at port that day, it was already sold out. It is probably the most popular thing to do at this port here at Alaska. It rained. There is a bus that does take you into town. It wasn't too expensive if I remember right. Here's the main issue is it took a really long time between trips to show up. Oh, and we ended up waiting like a while. Then we just decided we're just gonna walk it. To be honest, just walk it. If you do decide to go into town, just decide to walk it. It's not that far of a walk, and it's absolutely a beautiful walk. So I would just walk it and not take the bus if you can, if you're able to. Something you don't really see too much of Alaska. They had dairy-free ice cream at this little stand. It was chocolate and I think it was banana. The town itself is small. There is some restaurants and shops there, but it is a smaller town, but it is a nice walk to go to. Icy Strait Point is a nice port. What we did is we kind of took a slow day and we just kind of looked around town. If you're not that kind of person that likes to just like be chill and take it slow, you probably want to book an excursion. Day 5, we stopped at Juneau, Alaska. At this day, we went whale watching, which was just so phenomenal. We saw, I think, about six humpback whales, which was just so neat because they were like just so close to the boat. They have an interesting law in Alaska where if you get to like a certain length near the whale, I think it's like a mile, but they have to turn off the engine of the boat, which they ended up having to do a lot that day. It was absolutely beautiful where we saw whale watching. There was just mountains everywhere. It was just such an incredible thing. This humpback whale got so close to the boat that there was literally like just waves. When we were done, we went into town for a little bit. We looked in some of the stores. It is just such a beautiful town. It is just so beautiful. One of my biggest regrets is I really wish we spent more time here. I really feel like we didn't get enough time here. I think we were only here from like 7 to 2, so we weren't really here that long. So huge reason why Juneau we were only there until about 1:30, 2 o'clock is because we were going to go to the Dawes Glacier in the Endicott Arm. This place is just, it's so beautiful. It is just so mystical up here. Like, I feel like you're transported to another land. So day 6, we stopped at Skagway, Alaska. This is where we went on the Klondike Highway. That is where we went to the Yukon, Canada. And we also went to British Columbia, Canada. This part over here is British Columbia. So what I recommend with this excursion is, one of the choices is you can actually take a train into Canada. I actually recommend the bus instead of that because you can actually get out and really just experience being in just this beautiful place. The Yukon is like one of the most interesting places that I ever visited. It is home to a coral reef. It also has the world's smallest desert. These mountains are they're just so gorgeous. I think actually they were more beautiful than Alaska's mountains. It's funny. They were more beautiful than Alaska's mountains. So the only wildlife I saw on this trip, unfortunately, is just this black bear right here. He was so cute. The mountains. So after our bus ride, we went into Skagway and we just kind of saw the town for a little bit. We had about 2 hours to kind of just explore the town. It's a nice little town. It's a really nice little town. Day 7, we stopped at Ketchikan, Alaska. This port is very city. It's very different than the other ports that we visited. We visited Creek Street. Creek Street's very interesting. It is where all the brothels were in like the 1800s, 1900s. So we just walked around the city. I feel like with this port, like, you really need to do an excursion. We kind of just walked around for a couple hours and then we ended up back on the boat. If you do stop at Ketchikan, I would do an excursion. Day 8, we were at sea. It was our last day of the trip. So what we basically did was we just kind of chilled out that day. We kind of got our minds mentally prepared to go back to reality. So we just kind of hung out. So we sailed in the inner passageway and we were facing the Canadian mountains and it was beautiful. Our final day, we hung out in Vancouver, Canada. It is absolutely a beautiful city. If you want more detailed videos of my cruise, please go down to the description section. I have links to all of my Alaska trip vlogs in the description. If you haven't yet, I'd absolutely love if you could subscribe to my channel. If you can hit the notification bell, go share this with your friends and family. Put a comment below. Have you ever been on an Alaskan cruise? Thank you for watching. Your vacation is out there.